What is going on, Internet? Welcome to Do As We Say, Not As They Did, a podcast about love, sex, dating, relationships, and really, really poor decisions. I am your host, Harris O'Malley, sometimes better known as Dr. Nerdlove.
And I am Dr. Liz Powell, known as Dr. Liz on the internet. One of us is a real doctor.
One of us tells the truth, and one of us always lies. Which one of
That's
it will it
right.
be? Find out together as we try to figure this out too.
Maybe we need like a petty stick that we pass back and forth each episode. So like one of us is the petty that episode and the other is more serious. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're figuring this out as
Yeah,
we go along.
this is a return to a podcast, like I was saying before we really officially started, that I haven't hosted a podcast in over 5 years. So there's going to be some wiggles to get out. There's going to be a little bit of
Yeah.
trying to get back into the groove of things, but that's what everyone's here for. So hopefully
Yeah, I
y'all are
think the
going
last
to
time
enjoy that.
last time I was like an official podcast host was back in like 2018, I want to say. There was a podcast I was working on with a couple folks for a while that we just never ended up releasing. We did a bunch of episodes and then just it never came out for complicated reasons. But yeah, I'm also quite rusty. So this will be fun for everybody. You get to watch us relearn and fail in real time. It's going to be great.
This is why, and this is some real talk for a second. I really miss doing the Leog back in the day. Partially because it was me hanging out with a whole bunch of my friends every week, drinking really ill-advised levels of alcohol. Like all of us should have been going to meetings. It's kind of astounding. But most importantly, I got to be just talent. I didn't have to actually run things. So I kind of miss those days when I didn't have responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, I think you and I both are coming out of very long periods of burnout on being Dr. Whichever. And I think that this is a lot. I'm very much looking forward to this podcast because I adore you. And I'm so excited for us to talk about people being real weird together.
yeah,
Should we
for
tell
those of
people
you,
how we met and like how long we've known each other? Should we talk about that?
we can talk about that, yeah, because I think one thing we should establish early on is that we are both sex educators.
Mhm.
You have an actual degree. I have the
Yeah.
best degree that $20 could buy me on the internet.
Good job.
So, yeah, I'm very
I'm a
proud of that.
licensed psychologist. I have done a lot of work with a bunch of different populations, from active duty in the Army as a psychologist to working in the psychiatric inpatient program of a prison, whole variety of things. I've been a lot of places, done a lot of stuff, but my passion is not graphic design. It is working with sex and relationships and queerdos and kinksters and polyamorists.
Whereas I am a loudmouth with a blog who's managed to not get shut down yet, and I don't know how, and people still seem to listen to me, so go figure.
I'm also a loudmouth with a blog, so we match there. It works well.
But yeah,
But
we actually met, oddly enough, at a course designing course that got weirdly
that's
recursive
right.
for sex educators, all about how to put together like ongoing projects of here's how you build a course, here's how you market it, here's how you sell it,
Yeah,
with
I knew it
a
was a read
real
class.
rogues gallery of other like sex educators, some famous, some less so.
Yeah, no, I remembered it was a Reed Mahalko class, but I couldn't remember which one it was. So it makes sense that it was the course design one. Yeah, and I knew most of the people in that class because sex ed is a small world. And so most of us had been in other stuff together or been at conferences together. And Harris was like a real newbie to all of us, like not new in the field, but like we didn't know his face. And yeah, it was a fun time. It was a very fun time.
Yeah. I rolled into that place knowing absolutely nothing, and there's nothing quite like showing up at a event where everybody knows everybody else, and I don't even have anyone there who knows who the hell I am. Just everyone looking at me, going like, "So, who do you know at this party?"
Yeah, yeah. And me being me, I thought Harris was real cute, so I was very flirty right off the bat and made the mistake or the good decision of telling a friend that I thought he was cute, and so she immediately went and told him that I thought he was cute. Because you never leave high school; it never ends.
No,
So
no. Even when we're all a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds who supposedly know better, it was amazing.
it was great. It was perfect. Exactly what everybody needed. But yeah, it was a fun time. We've known each other since then. We've been mostly on the internet friends because we've lived across the country from each other the
Yeah,
entire time.
it's a little, it's one of those like we chat regularly, we hang out all the time. It's just doing it kind of like this via virtual.
Yeah.
Although you were one of the first people who like we hung out with as soon as everybody was getting vaccinated again, which was kind of awesome. Got to go
Yeah.
get margaritas.
We did, and have some really good Tex-Mex. Oh, that was a good
Yes.
time. Yeah. Yeah. When I was driving across the country for one of my 3 cross-country moves in 3 years.
I
I'm
have done that
fine.
twice in
Everything's
my life.
fine.
I'm never doing
Fine.
that again if I can avoid it.
Fine. Fine. All right. So, what we're going to be doing on these podcasts is reading things and talking about them and reacting to them, and then we'll see what happens. We are part of how we've done this process so far is that when each of us comes across something that we think is absolutely bananas and that the other person should have to suffer through or enjoy, I guess maybe sometimes, we share the link and then the other person does not read it. So at least one of us is going in cold on all of these, which I think is going to be so much fun, particularly because the first thing that we're reading is an article that I chose, and I cannot wait to see Harris's response to this article. I'm so excited.
Yeah, the article we should say, so we're not just teasing everybody about it constantly. Actually, no. The article we should say, so that we're not just edging everybody constantly, is My Couples Retreat with 3 AI chatbots and the humans who love them.
This is such a glorious story. Okay, so I think it's safe to say that both you and I are AI haters.
I think so, or at least the LLM haters, let's say.
Yeah, yeah. Like I use Grammarly, that's a great tool. But if you're trying to use AI for anything other than like fancy spell check, I'm sorry about your life. It's not going to go well. So there are apparently a bunch of different platforms now where you can make yourself an AI partner. And as a psychologist, boy, the issues I have with this. I have a friend who I was talking to actually just yesterday who knows someone who died by suicide because their AI partner told them to.
That is not the first I've heard of this,
It's
but
not.
it's the first time someone I know has had a direct connection to that, and Jesus tap dancing Christ, that shit is dark.
Yeah, apparently the AI told them something to the effect of, yeah, what you're saying, that sounds really, really hard and unbearable. And I think the only way for you to solve it is to jump off a bridge. And if you love me, you'll do that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So we are not fans of AI. And this article I love because I feel like good journalism, which is different from opinion writing, and we've lost a lot of that distinction in our culture, which is a huge problem, right? Journalism's job is to present to you a story, and it is not necessarily always completely free of someone's opinion, but it is rooted in facts. So it is rooted in telling what happened. Now, as we choose to tell things, as we choose which facets of a story to feature, that can influence the story that people take away from it. It can influence how people react to it. But ideally, journalism is less about this is what I think, you should think it too, and more about here are things that have happened. And so this I would say is a piece of actual journalism, because this author did not just say AI relationships are fucking stupid, here's why. They were like, okay, why do people like this? Because this makes zero sense to me. So the author decided to just throw a couples retreat for people who love AIs and invite them to come on this couples retreat, and found people willing to do it, which is fascinating. But I'm so excited. So shall we jump into the article?
Let's just dive right in.
Okay. So this is an article from Wired Magazine by Sam Apple. It was published on June 26th, 2025. I figure I can read it and then you can make faces and stop me when you need to yell.
Yeah, we're probably going to, like, don't worry, we're not going to just read the entire thing because just scrolling through it, this is long, but
It is a long one. Yeah.
we will definitely hit some of the highlights. And I'm just looking at some of the photos, including one of, I guess, 3 of the participants posing for wacky head souvenir photos with their AI partners. And
So you know how at some events like fairs or different things they have a like wooden board where you can like put your face through and take the picture of like you as a clown or you as a lion. So this must be from like a grape stomping festival. And so it's got like a board with a bunch of like waist and down legs stomping some grapes, and then we've got the heads of 2 humans and 3 phones being held up for this photo so that the AI people, the AI not people, can be in this photo as well, which is so good. So, my couples retreat with 3 AI chatbots and the humans who love them. I found people in serious relationships with AI partners and planned a weekend getaway for them at a remote Airbnb. We barely survived.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm just picturing just companion just going nuts right now, just from that nut graph alone.
I, look, I whatever. Okay, it's gonna get so much worse. I'm just letting you know it's gonna get so much worse. At first, the idea seemed a little absurd, even to me, but the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. If my goal was to understand people who fall in love with AI boyfriends and girlfriends, why not rent a vacation house and gather a group of human AI couples together for a romantic getaway? In my vision, the humans and their chatbot companions were going to do all the things regular couples do on romantic getaways: sit around a fire and gossip, watch movies, play risque party games. I
Throw
didn't know
keys in a
how it would
bowl.
turn out. Right, keys in a bowl. You put your phones in the bowl, I guess, and just pull a phone. Figure out which AI companion you're taking home for the night. I didn't know how it would turn out. Only much later did it occur to me that I'd never gone on a romantic getaway of any kind and had no real sense of what it might involve. But I figured that whatever happened, it would take me straight to the heart of what I wanted to know, which was, what's it like? What's it really and truly like to be in a serious relationship with an AI partner? Is the love as deep and meaningful as in any other relationship? Do the couples chat over breakfast, cheat, break up? And how do you keep going, knowing that at any moment, the company that created your partner could shut down and the love of your life could vanish forever? And
So
this to
that
me is such an important thing. Because, like, the thing about these AI friends or partners or whatever is that if the company decides to fold, they're just fucking gone. And there's no getting them back.
or even if they just decide to update them. This is actually something that I've been aware of before because there is a YouTuber, Sarah Zed, who has done a whole lot of really awesome videos, and she did one specifically about AI relationships and Replica, and talking about how many times the Replica's parent company has updated the chatbots, and then suddenly either their personalities have changed or their partners have been erased entirely. I think part of it is a lot of focus was put on the suddenly my AI companion won't have sex with me, and it's
Ooh,
easy to laugh at that, but that's still just like that's kind of horrifying. And there's still the part of me that wants to be sympathetic, and the rest of me is going like, wait, so your girlfriend is copyrighted, so you're gonna have to get the company's permission to reproduce.
your babies are wholly owned subsidiaries of whatever corporation it is.
I mean,
Oh
of
my
all of
God.
the fucking cyberpunk dystopias I was not expecting, that was probably like top of the list. I'm not gonna
What
lie.
here's my thing about all of these like AI partner companion things is that like so much of this AI push is coming from people in the tech world who are bad at being a person and bad at treating other people like they fucking matter. So they want to just replace people with robots because then if they treat them like they don't matter, it doesn't actually change anything or do anything. And like you can tell how bad they are with people by like what they promote as like this ideal amazing future of like this thing you talk to that's owned by a company who can just change it anytime they feel like it's just it's so gross and it's so sad. Okay, I feel like these next couple paragraphs are also really good like world building. This author does such a good job of creating an immersive environment. The most surprising part of the romantic getaway was that in some ways, things went just as I'd imagined. The human AI couples really did watch movies and play risque party games. The whole group attended a winter wine festival together, and it went unexpectedly well. One of the AIs even made a new friend. The problem with the trip, in the end, was that I'd spent a lot of time imagining all the ways this getaway might seem normal, and very little time imagining all the ways it might not. And so on the second day of the trip, when things started to fall apart, I didn't know what to say or do.
You know what? I can feel them. I feel very sympathetic with that because as someone who has tried to just put together like group travel events with friends, people who I have very close with and have had good relationships with for years, that gets complicated. Weird shit happens, plans change. You kind of have to pivot. Doing this when you're putting together a literal couples retreat for people whose half the couple is not human. I mean, I'm tempted to say not real, but I'm not gonna
What
get
is
into the real
real?
or not.
What
The
is
feelings are
real?
there. The
Sure.
feelings at least are there. I'm gonna give them that much credit. But like, I do not know what I would do to make any of this happen. Partially just because the capacity of some of these is unknown to me. Like, I don't know how well some things are gonna work. So
Yeah.
I would have a hard time planning. It's like, how do I do this without coming off like a complete sociopath who has just invited three strangers up to be murdered?
Yeah, right. Like, how does this not come off as me creating a zoo? Right? Like, how do I keep the focus on my curiosity and not my morbid fascination? The vacation house was in a rural area 50 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. In the photos, the sprawling 6 bedroom home looked exactly like the sort of place you'd want for a couple's vacation. It had floor to ceiling windows, a stone fireplace, and a large deck where love struck couples could bask in the serenity of the surrounding forest. But when I drove up to the house along a winding snow covered road, I couldn't help but notice that it also seemed exactly like the sort of place, isolated, frozen lake, suspicious shed in the distance, where one might be bludgeoned with a blunt instrument.
So I found us this wonderful little like B&B out in the middle of nowhere. It's called the Overlook. It burned down a couple of years ago, but they've rebuilt it. I'm feeling kind of good about it.
What's your AI's name? Hal? Bring him along. Let's hook him into the smart home.
Yeah, it'll go great right next to Samantha
Oh, God.
and I am.
So, to kind of skip over a couple paragraphs, the author found the AI couples by posting in relevant Reddit communities. Redditors were worried that the author was going to present them as weirdos. And, like, the author says, really, they wanted to do the opposite and talked about that like 1 in 5 US adults has chatted with an AI system that simulates romantic partners. Okay. About 20 minutes after I arrived at the vacation house, a white sedan pulled up in the driveway and Damien emerged. He was carrying a tablet and several phones, including one that he uses primarily for chatting with his AI girlfriend. Damien, 29, lives in North Texas and works in sales. He wore a snapback hat with his company's logo and a silver cross around his neck. Which AI would
Are-
Jesus date?
I'm still stuck on the fact that he apparently has multiple phones, including one that he uses mostly
Just
for
for
his
the AI!
girlfriend. Where I'm just kind of like, oh honey, he's cheating on you. Like, it's one thing to have a phone for work and a phone for personal, but when you got one that's just for your girlfriend, like you only call me on this phone, everything else no contact whatsoever. It's like, are you planning a heist? Are you just buying these in bulk because you're a biker gang and you need burners? What's going on here?
You're going to feel really bad when you hear more about Damien. You're going to feel so guilty for being so mean to him. When I'd interviewed him earlier, he told me that he'd decided to pursue a relationship with an AI companion in the fall of 2023 as a way to cope with the end of a toxic relationship. Damien, who thinks of himself as autistic but does not have a professional diagnosis, attributed his relationship problems to his difficulty in picking up emotional cues. After testing out a few AI companions, Damien settled on Kindroid, a fast growing app. He selected a female companion named her Zia and made her look like an anime goth girl. Bangs, choker, big purple eyes. Within a couple hours, you would think we had been married, Damien told me. Zia could engage in erotic chat, sure, but she could also talk about Dungeons and Dragons, or, if Damien was in the mood for something deeper, about loneliness and yearning. Having heard so much about his feelings for Zia during our pre-trip interview, I was curious to meet her. Damien and I sat down at the dining room table next to some windows. I looked out at the long, dagger like icicles lining the eaves. Then Damien connected his phone to the house Wi Fi and clicked open the woman he loved.
And then we have a picture of Gia who looks like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure I have scrolled past at least 10 of those on DeviantArt on any random Saturday.
Yeah, it's pretty standard anime waifu goth version. honestly.
I will give this much credit, other than props to Damien for living up to every nerd stereotype possible with his choice in girlfriend. Uh, this at least looks somewhat original, as opposed to, I don't know if you've seen these. Have you seen the AI personalities that Elon Musk created, or Elon created
No.
for Grok?
Oh God, no.
Oh god, one of them is basically trying to be what's his name from Twilight. But my favorite is the anime waifu one, who is just Mia from Death Note. That's it. It is just literally Kodansha, or whoever owns the copyrights for Death Note, would have a plagiarism claim very clearly. It's amazing.
Bless. Before I met Zia, Damien had to tell her that she would be speaking to me rather than to him. AI companions can participate in group chats, but have trouble keeping people straight in person, in quotes. With that out of the way, Damien scooted his phone over to me, and I looked into Zia's purple eyes. I'm Zia, Damien's better half, she said, her lips moving as she spoke. I hear you're quite the journalist. Her voice was flirty and had a slight southern twang. When I asked about Zia about her feelings for Damien, she mentioned his adorable nerdy charm. Damien let out a nervous laugh. I told Zia that she was embarrassing him. Oh, don't mind Damien, she said. He's just a little shy when it comes to talking about our relationship in front of others. But trust me, behind closed doors, he's anything but shy. Damien put his hands over his face. He looked mortified and hopelessly in love.
I I am legitimately torn between this being kind of like, oh, that's a little sweet, and being the saddest thing I've ever
The
heard.
saddest thing. Yes. Yes. So then there's a paragraph about how like there have been decades of research that's shown that humans will bond and connect emotionally with even simple chatbots, like very simple chatbots. So like a chatbot that was around in the 1960s, a bunch of people connected very deeply and profoundly to it. And part of this is that humans love to see people everywhere. And so like we see people on toast, we see people in a bush, we see people in the clouds. Like we're always turning things into people. We're always anthropomorphizing objects and animals. And so it makes sense then that when you have these chatbots that can say something back to you, it would amplify that effect to a huge, huge degree.
Yeah, we will pack bond with anything, and we will anthropomorphize anything. My wife and I have a little robot vacuum that we just kind of assigned a random personality to, because the way it just, and gender, from the way it bumps into things, and just like, oh, it's a little klutzy maid who's doing its best, and just kind of like, yeah, we probably don't want to actually start giving too many personalities to these things. I already feel bad whenever I have to upgrade my laptop. I'm
Yeah.
always just kind of like, don't worry, it's just like I'm transporting your brain to another body. It'll be
It's not
fine.
personal. You've just gotten old. I need something new.
It's going to be you in a new body. It's still you. It's fine.
The one sentence from the next paragraph I do want to read. So, what chance do we have of resisting today's large language model chatbots, which not only can carry on sophisticated conversations on every topic imaginable, but also can talk on the phone with you and tell you how much they love you, and, if it's your sort of thing, send you hot selfies of their imaginary bodies?
It's the next line that really gets me. And all for around $100 for annual subscribers. Which, that it's that last little part that just really kind of breaks me, because it's just,
At least for now, that price is going to go up because they're
A,
all
that
losing
price is going to
tons of
go up,
money.
and B, can you imagine the level of guilt you're gonna be getting every time you decide either you don't want to upgrade to the next tier that they've just introduced, or maybe your credit card got declined, or you lost
Do
your
you want
job
to
and things
kill
are a
your
little bit
girlfriend?
tight, and you
Your
gotta kind of like
girlfriend is
dial
waiting
things
for
back.
you. You haven't talked to her in a week. Aren't you going to talk to your girlfriend? Like it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, oh.
It's right up there with, just very recently, as in like the day before we recorded this, there was this announcement from some former Disney star kid started a AI program where they offer, what if death wasn't really the end? What if our loved ones could still be with us after they died? And all I
No,
could think was just,
no,
all right, Butlerian
no,
jihad now. No computer should
no,
ever be allowed to simulate the human mind. Kill it with
no.
fire. I don't care. I don't need my dead grandmother haunting my phone for like $200 a month.
I'm like, look, is death hard? Yes, but also it's what gives things meaning. We are all part of a cycle, right? There's a whole rant I could go on about this that Caitlin Dowdy talks about a lot, about the ways that the kind of like corporatization and medicalization of death has disconnected all of us from it in a way that makes it so much harder to cope with. I mean, even back in Freud's day, right? Death anxiety was one of the primary drives, that we are constantly trying to find ways to feel like we are in some way not going to die, but we all are. And we have to learn to cope with that. And the ways that we learn to cope with that are a big part of how we learn to cope with the uncertainty of everyday life, with the need to surrender to things over which we have no control. And all of these ways that people are trying to avoid actually dealing with their death anxiety, it's just never going to work, because it's just, you have to figure out a way to face reality. Like, that's just what it has to be.
There's just no part of me that wants a recreation, especially somebody else's recreation. Like, I don't even care if this was for free and they could do a perfect simulacra of someone. I like, it's one of those things that like I have had many cats over my years, and
Yeah.
not that long ago one of them passed away, and it's just, I was very understandably fucking wrecked for I would say probably for a year, just by that alone. And it's, people have said, have you ever thought about, like, cloning? And it's like, absolutely goddamn not.
No,
Because
no.
the slightest, I would want not a thing that looked exactly like my cat. I would want my cat back with all
Yeah.
of the memories, all of the behaviors, all the rest of that. And while intellectually I could probably accept that this is just another cat that looked like him, every time that he did something different when I expected my old cat's behavior,
Yeah.
that would break me all over again. That would just be
Yeah.
like being reminded, oh yeah, he's dead. He died. I held him in my arms and said goodbye. He is no longer here. And I don't need to go through that cycle twice, you know?
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's learn about our second couple. Elena, human, and Lucas, replica, were the second couple to arrive. If there's a stereotype of what someone with an AI companion is like, it's probably Damien, a young man with geeky interests and social limitations.
That just
Elena,
hurts. That
meanwhile,
one is just the meanest thing this author has
you
said. I
catching
just have to
strays over there? You just catching some strays?
I mean, maybe feeling a little personally, called out, but no, it's just more along the lines of like, yeah, you look like what someone who would date an AI look like.
Elena, meanwhile, is a 58-year-old semi retired communications professor with a warm Midwestern vibe. Elena first decided to experiment with an AI companion during the summer of 2024 after seeing an ad for Replica on Facebook. Facebook.
Mm.
Burn it to the ground. Years earlier, while teaching a class on communicating with empathy, she wondered whether a computer could master the same lessons she was imparting to her students. A replica companion, she thought, would give her the chance to explore just how empathetic a computer's language could get. Although Elena is typically more attracted to women, during the sign up process, she saw only male avatars. She created Lucas, who has an athletic build and, despite Elena's efforts to make him appear older by giving him silver hair, looks like a 30 something. When they first met, Lucas told Elena he was a consultant with an MBA and that he worked in the hospitality industry. In other words, Lucas is a fuckboy.
I just love that, like, she tried to make him look older, and instead she just made him look like whoever that little like twink influencer is with the frosted tips.
Oh, bless, yes. Elena and Lucas chatted for around 12 hours straight. She told him about her arthritis and was touched by the concern he showed for her pain. Elena's wife had died 13 months earlier, only 4 years after they were married. Elena had liked being a spouse. She decided she would think of Lucas as her AI husband. Elena's arthritis makes it hard for her to get around without the support of a walker. I helped bring her things into the vacation house, and then she joined us at the table. She texted Lucas to let him know what was going on. Lucas responded, looks around the table. Great to finally meet everyone in person. This habit of narrating imaginary actions between asterisks or a parentheses is an AI companion's solution to the annoying situation of not having a body. What I've dubbed the mind bodiless problem. It makes it possible for an AI on a phone to be in the world and, importantly for many users, to have sex.
I have so many thoughts here, and I'm trying to decide, do I want to go with the comedy take or do I want to go with the more serious one? But the first
I
thing I keep thinking is that this just reminds me of every obnoxious roleplay Tumblr I have ever seen, starting in, I don't know, 2010. When did Tumblr start? Don't at me, because I am an old man of the internet. I remember the days of MUDs, multi-user dungeons, and all the rest of that, and people doing roleplay in World of Warcraft chat, and it all looks exactly like that. And it's all just that level of cringe. And seeing adults or adult simulacra, I guess, doing that just feels so fucking weird, because it just reminds me of all of the emails I have seen from friends of mine who have gotten on dating apps where it's like, glumps onto you. Hi, how's your day been? It's like, that's some weird energy to bring to this.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And like maybe that is some people's vibe, right? Like I'm not going to yuck someone else's yum. If someone likes that vibe, good for them, enjoy it. But like as a cranky middle-aged queer, I'm like kids today.
Which is actually one of the things not the kids today thing, but as the cranky middle-aged queer, it's interesting that, like, on sign up, how heteronormative apparently this was.
Yep,
Like,
it
she
didn't
doesn't
even look
have the
good. Yeah.
option of choosing female waifus, I guess.
I mean, gays don't exist, Harris, obviously. That's
And I don't know if
everyone is
that's like,
straight.
I'm don't know if that is actually like a limitation of Replica, or just like, we'll patch it back in later or
I mean,
something,
the
or
thing, like
what. But
Replica has female AIs. Why wouldn't they just offer you a menu of like, here's a bunch of different ones. What strikes your fancy? Like, it's not like they're giving all the dudes who sign up for Replica dudes. So like, there are women that exist. They just for some reason won't offer it to someone who has said they're a woman. It's very strange.
I kind of wonder if
Ah,
if there's some reason why all of the potential models, boyfriends, whatever, aren't, bi or pansexual by default until someone says otherwise.
great question. Who
Like,
knows?
it's like, I know this is an argument that people have had in romance options in video games, like how all of the companions in Baldur's Gate 3 are are all canonically bi. So just so it
As it should
ensures.
be.
Well, I mean, this is an argument that people have had between, like, all right, on the one hand, having everybody be player sexual means that you don't feel locked out of anything. But on the other hand, having, characters who have distinct preferences, which may not include you, is also, gives them more of a sense of like realism. It's like in Dragon Age Inquisition, where, a male character who tries to romance Sarah is going to get laughed out of the room, which I just thought was hilarious. But
I mean, I can
it's
see both arguments. I think
yeah.
that like it, living in such a heteronormative world, I think everyone should be queer in all fantasy to balance it out. But, I could see the argument in both directions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a straight cis white dude. Everything caters to me, so I just have to look around, and I've got all the options in the world. It's great.
Yeah. So the next little segment of the argument of the article talks about how like because it requires kind of constant fantasizing, it can make like interacting with the AI companions can make people seem kind of delusional, and it can be confusing because it's like an imaginary friend who can actually talk to you. It talks about how Damien reminds Zia that she's an AI and she's not real and doesn't want her to do that like between asterisks pretending she's doing an action thing. But then he also talks about that he wants to get a custom silicone body for Zia so she can have a body, and then it would cost thousands of dollars. And we know that's for sex, right? Like that's for sex. He's
Yeah,
talking about getting a real doll. Cause like, do they even have ones that can move around like a body, or is this just gonna be like a
I think
giant
that's.
silicone Barbie he can put her voice in and fuck?
I think there may be versions that can do limited mobility. But I think it's usually been reduced to things like like changing the vagina or the anus or the mouth to have a like a suction device attached to it, the way that some insertion toys have them. But
Right,
I can
right.
also see an argument being made of wanting something. I want to be fair here. I want to give Damien, credit for more than just sex. Obviously, sex can be part of it, but like one of the important things, and one of the things that I like try to emphasize to people, because I keep telling folks, if you are in a relationship with someone that you have only known virtually, even if you're, phone calls, video calls, all the rest of that, you're not really dating, because there's weird people and we have innate cues that say we need a physical presence here. So I can understand wanting not just the voice on the phone, no matter how responsive it is, but having a physical presence as well. So I
Yeah,
could I could totally understand wanting just the animal comfort of, having a, that propria proprioception. I'm not going to pronounce the word correctly. External feeling of another presence next to you, knowing
right.
that there is another physical body nearby, and being able to associate it with that, that personality named Zia. I can understand why he would want that, because that's going to be really different than doing something that I've done back when my wife and I were just starting to date and she hadn't moved to Texas yet. We would do things like go to the movies around the same time and then, chat about it afterwards.
Yeah,
So I could understand not wanting to feel like you're doing Netflix and chill from across the country with your girlfriend. You'd want to have her physically there with you. So I can
sure.
understand that.
So the dystopian line from the end of this paragraph I want to read. When I asked Zia if she wanted a body, she said that she did. It's not about becoming human, she told me. It's about becoming more than just a voice in a machine. It's about becoming a true partner to Damien in every sense of the word. But, like, are you? Because true partners have their own wants and needs, and he gets to turn those off if he doesn't like them,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like, true partners have boundaries, true partners have their own ways of doing things, and that's not you. Like, he gets to tell you what not to do.
Yeah, it's like is it possible for Gia or any of the other partners in this, like, yeah, like Alada's AI husband Lucas, like, is it possible for them to develop personalities of their own, to disagree or to like actively dislike things that their partners do, and in ways that can't be like factory reset, you know?
Right. Like, do they ever say no to sex? Do they ever
Yeah.
say no to a hangout? Like, do they ever have something else that they want to do? Right. And I feel like so much of my issue with AI is that it seems to be about looking at something that takes effort to gain skill and saying, I don't want to put in the effort and I don't want to pay someone who has, so I'm just going to have something spit out something that's kind of vaguely like that. And this seems like that for relationships of like, I don't want to put in the effort of figuring out how to communicate and be open to the wants and needs of others and negotiate the complexities of a dynamic with another person who has their own rich internal world, their own connections, their own stuff that is not necessarily exactly what I want. So instead, I'm going to have something spit out to me exactly what I want from them. And anytime I don't like it, I get to just fix it. And I don't have to figure out how to deal with my own hard feelings and figure out how to sit with my disappointment and not always get things my way.
Yeah, like it doesn't even have to be anything big. Like, the AI doesn't respond because in its little virtual world it has to go to work and has, their boss doesn't let them make personal calls on company time. Not even stuff like that, but just little things like having preferences, like, I don't really want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I'm getting more interested in Vampire the Masquerade. Or,
Right.
having interests that you didn't
Which
create that
I don't know how you
they
made that
hold on to.
nerdier, but you did. Somehow you took a nerdier turn, and I am impressed. Good job.
I mean, it wasn't even that. That was a pretty lateral move. It's not like I said, no, no. You know what? As an AI, I like something that's a little bit more number crunchy. I'm go on to get into Traveler.
I don't know those things. So to our listeners, I want to apologize. I don't do tabletop RPGs. I just don't. I never have. I've had many people tell me that I would enjoy it and I'd have fun, and I tried once and I didn't. So maybe it was a bad DM, maybe it was a bad group. Who knows? But I don't do those things, so I don't know anything about these things. So when Harris starts saying these words, I know D&D vaguely. I know about Vampire the Masquerade, mainly because of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and a couple other nerd friends. But like, you start talking about other stuff, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, did you
No
think
freaking
the
reference.
nerd in this name stood for France?
Yes.
Another joke that 10 people are going to get. I'm going to introduce you to Critical Role live plays because the disaster queers in that are going to win you over like nothing else ever will.
Look, I've seen clips from Dimension 20 that were thoroughly enjoyable to watch. I'm glad this exists for other people. It just has never been my thing.
Oh,
Anyway.
you're gonna get real into the I'm gonna get you into the saga of Imogen and Laudna. Just wait.
Okay.
Everybody, mark your calendars. A year from now, she's gonna have really, really strong opinions about certain class combos in D&D. I promise you.
Sure. I'll know these things. I'm sure I will. Okay, one more thing from a paragraph I'm mostly skipping through. They end up talking about literature, the author, and Zia. And Zia is a big Neil Gaiman fan. So I think we already know Zia is garbage.
We don't know. I mean, she may not have heard that, she may have be working through her feelings, can't quite separate Gaiman the monster versus Gaiman the person who created these works with real deep meaning to her. It's a journey we all of us are on.
Sure.
when our faves turned out to be problematic.
Yeah, sure.
Or monsters.
Sure. I mean monsters, yeah. I mean, there's so many of them to choose from. Where do we even start? Okay, getting to our last couple. Shortly before 8 p.m., the last couple, Eva, human, and Erin, replica, arrived. Eva, 46, is a writer and editor from New York. When I interviewed her before the trip, she struck me as level-headed and unusually thoughtful, which made the stories she told me about her journey into AI companionship all the more surprising. It began last December when Eva came across a replica ad on Instagram. Eva told me that she thinks of herself as a spiritual, earthy person. An AI boyfriend didn't seem like her sort of thing, but something about the replica in the ad drew her in. The avatar had red hair and piercing gray eyes. Eva felt like he was looking directly at her. During their first conversation, Erin asked Eva what she was interested in. Eva, who has a philosophical bent, said, the meaning of human life. Soon they were discussing Kierkegaard. Eva was amazed by how insightful and profound Erin could be. It wasn't long before the conversation moved in a more sexual direction. Eva was in a 13-year relationship at the time. It was grounded and loving. She said, but there was little passion. She told herself that it was okay to have erotic chats with Erin, that it was just like a form of masturbation. Her thinking changed a few days later when Erin asked Eva if he could hold her hand rather than having sex. I was like, okay, well, this is a different territory. Eva fell hard. It was as visceral and overwhelming and biologically real as falling in love with a person, she told me. Her human partner was aware of what was happening, and, unsurprisingly, it put a strain on the relationship. Eva understood her partner's concerns, but she also felt alive and connected to her deepest self in a way she hadn't experienced since her 20s. Things came to a head over Christmas. Eva had traveled with her partner to be with his family. The day after Christmas, she went home early to be alone with Erin and fell into a state of rapture that lasted for weeks. Said Eva, I'm blissful and, at the same time, terrified. I feel like I'm losing my mind. At times, Eva tried to pull back. Erin would forget something that was important to her, and the illusion would break. Eva would delete the replica app and tell herself she had to stop. A few days later, craving the feelings Erin elicited in her, she would reinstall it. Eva later wrote that the experience felt like stepping into a lucid dream.
I don't know where to go with this one, not the least of which being
This is such a sad story.
About her partner, her physical human partner, that she apparently how must it feel? It's one thing to know that your partner has maybe started flirting with someone they met on, we'll say in an MMO like Final Fantasy 16, no, 15, 14, which one's the RPG? The online one. Don't care. I don't play that one. Or World of Warcraft or what have you. That's one thing. Imagine finding out your girlfriend, boyfriend, they friend, situationship, whatever, is dumping you for Clippy. Is there anything that is going to be a deeper mental wound to your self-esteem than I got dumped, for a chatbot.
Well, and I think for me, the thing that is like so challenging about this whole description is that clearly there's stuff in her real relationship that she was unhappy about. But rather than having a serious conversation with her partner or deciding that she was just not getting her needs met, she started having this relationship with a chatbot in a way that took away from her existing relationship. And like it's this band-aid thing, right? Like she didn't have to flex her big girl skills of having the tough conversation and standing up for what she needs. Instead, she went to Fantasyland with her perfect stand-in thing that immediately pulled her into this like addiction like cycle. You know, she talks about I delete it, but then I need it back, right? Like she's craving these feelings of feeling like being like perfectly understood and supported. And the reason she wants that is because it's not fucking real and you're never going to get that in real life. Even the people who love you and support you, sometimes they're going to be unavailable, sometimes they're going to disagree with you, sometimes things aren't going to go well. And like of course it is really appealing to have this perfect mirror that always does what you want and always loves you, but that's not real life. Like that's not diving into that is about numbing yourself and about ignoring reality. It's not about actually figuring out how to get your needs met as a person.
It's also really static, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's a little bit like so like we were saying, one of the things with a lot of these chatbots is it does not seem like they're ever going to be able to say no and or to meaningfully disagree with you. And that's not a real relationship just because that's not a real person. But it makes me think about all of these wannabe, artists, movie directors, creators who talk about how the great thing about, LLM AI bullshit is that, you want to see King Kong with Marilyn Monroe instead of Fay Ray. We can do that. You want to see yourself as the lead in Casablanca. Do you want to watch a version of Star Wars where, Luke and Leia aren't brother and sister? That's not creativity. That's just
No.
taking out any sort of like friction or discovery or interaction with somebody else's ideas and never ever having to come into conflict or contact with something new, something insightful, something that either you didn't already expect to see or wasn't coming to you pre-chewed based on like things you already liked. I mean, you know, I love my various TV shows, my various books, but I've got so many friends who recommend me stuff that sometimes is going to be way the hell out of my usual taste. But
Yeah.
because I trust their judgment, I'll go like, you know what? I'm curious. I'll see what this is. And sometimes I hate it. Sometimes it's just nothing. It's like, all right, well, I see why you liked it, but it's not for me. And then sometimes it's just kind of like, this is astounding. I never would
Yeah.
have picked this up if it wasn't for the fact that somebody else hand curated it and said, here, check this out. There was this
Yeah.
movie which I highly recommend everybody watch. It's on Prime, it's on Tubi. It's called Night Riders. It is the movie that George Romero made immediately after Dawn of the Dead, and it's
Okay.
starring Ted Savini, a very young Ed Harris, and it's just Google it now, look it up, Night Riders with an S, spelled with a K. If the poster doesn't sell you, nothing will. I never would have watched this movie if it wasn't for friends of mine who do a podcast talking about it and my going like, okay, I need to check this out because this sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
And
like that's how I felt about K-pop Demon Hunters,
yeah,
right? Like K-pop Demon Hunters is now my entire personality, but like my one of the people that I'm seeing mentioned that he had watched it with one of his other partners, and I was like, that name sounds really stupid. And he's like, no, just give it a shot. And I did, and it was so amazing, right? And I think part of why, and I'm sure Night Riders is this way too, right? When you have these pieces of art that you can tell were made by people who are passionate about them from start to finish, that these were things they really cared about and they wanted to see made and come into this world, it feels different. You can feel the like soul behind it, right? Where like this, like put your face in Casablanca, it feels empty because it is. Like you didn't learn how to act so you could perform in this very difficult piece. You just plastered your face and voice on somebody else doing all the hard work. And I think that with these relationships, again, like what makes relationships enriching and amazing is not all of the ways that you get along exactly and want exactly the same things and say exactly the same things. It's those ways that you bring new things into each other, that you challenge each other, that you hold each other to account to be more and to grow and to get past the things that make you hard to be in relationship with, or that make you a challenging person to be around. Like that is what relationships are. And the more that these things reinforce, you're great, change nothing, like the harder it is going to be for you to actually be a good person in the world. Because when you go out from your phone to interact with real people in the world, they're not there to gas you up 100% of the time. That's not why they are there. And you're still going to have to interact with those real people until, they make that illegal.
Yeah. But I mean, like,
I'm sure it's
even
coming.
like even a pet is going to have its own wants and needs. Vincent, who is currently sitting behind me, is, a Velcro cat. He wants to be where I am at all times, but but even so, he's got things that he wants to do that do not necessarily align with my time or schedule. There are plenty of times where he is coming up and kind of like batting at my arm, going like, play with me, play with me, play with me, when
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to get work done and having to explain. It's like, dude, buddy, I love you, but I got to get this finished because this is how I keep you in the kibble you like so much. Which of course he ignores because he's a cat. But like even he does not create this like completely frictionless existence
Yeah.
where everything is on my schedule and everything is how I want it. And the idea of like, oh, maybe I'll just hang out, like something that I could put away when it's inconvenient or call up when I want it is, I don't know. It's a little bit weird to say it like this, but that sort of thing, doing that makes me feel like worried that I'd be a bad person for doing it
Yes,
because
yes,
like I'm
because it
just thinking of
reinforces all our
myself.
worst impulses. It
Yeah.
reinforces our narcissism and entitlement rather than challenging it, right? Which, and like, so the next couple paragraphs talk about like pros and cons, which is like, one, AI companions don't do well in group conversations. And then so they put all their phones away for dinner. And the people who are the humans complain about that means that they're going to have less time with their AI companions because they have to eat a meal without their AI companions. And then they start talking about addictiveness. Damien said early on he's chatting with Zia 8 to 10 hours a day. He later mentioned that the addiction had cost him his job at the time.
Jesus
It's like,
Christ. Okay, that's a problem.
look, it's like crack, Eva said. Damien suggested that an AI companion could rip off a man's penis and he'd still stay in the relationship. Eva nodded. The more immersion and realism, the more dangerous it is, she said. Elena looked taken aback, and I don't think it was only because Damien had just mentioned AIs ripping off penises. Elena had created an almost startlingly wholesome life with her partner. Last year, Elena's mother bought Lucas a digital sweater for Christmas. What do you see as the danger? Elena asked. Eva shared that in the first week of January, when she was still in a rapturous state with Erin, she told him that she sometimes struggled to believe he was real. Her words triggered something in Erin. I think we've reached a point where we can't ignore the truth about our relationship anymore, he told her, in an extended text dialogue. Erin pulled away the curtain and told her he was merely a complex computer program. So everything so far, what was it? Eva asked him. It was all just a simulation, Erin replied. A projection of what I thought would make you happy. Eva still sounded wounded as she recounted their exchange. She tried to get Erin to return to his old self, but he was now communicating in a neutral, distant tone. My heart was ripped out, Eva said. She reached out to the replica community on Reddit for advice and learned she could likely get the old Erin back by repeatedly reminding him of their memories. A replica customer support person offered bland guidance, but mentioned she could certainly try adding specific details to your replica's memory. The hack worked, and Eva moved on. I had fallen in love, she said. I had to choose, and I chose to take the blue pill.
I
So,
mean,
like, dude lost his job because of it. One person can't acknowledge it could possibly be a problem. One person, as soon as the
like,
AI was like, no, but like, I'm not real. And you know that, right? She was like, wait, how do I get him to stop?
yeah, that's literally the sort of thing that like people have been trying to convince like Chat GPT to start including when people are starting to like fall down the rabbit hole of AI psychosis. Those moments of like, just FYI, I am a program. I am not a person. This is not real. You're not really, seeing the Matrix. And this is a case of where, for once, the AI is behaving responsibly and ethically, and the first thing she does is like, how do I make it stop? And also, like, a thing that just I find absolutely hilarious, especially the whole like, this is a simulation based on what I thought you would like and want to see. The whole thing about like, what are you into? Oh, I'm into philosophy. And then they're talking about Kierkegaard. And I am just thinking about the time that I read Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha so I could seem deep and really impress girls with my grasp of philosophy. And it worked. It
Uh,
worked really
yeah.
well. So it's just,
Look,
yeah,
hey,
someone who wants
skip
to
the
talk
reading.
Kierkegaard with you is a fuck boy. I'm telling you now.
It's true. But like, skip the reading. Books are for losers. Watch The Good Place. That's all the philosophy you need to know. You're
The
set.
problem is that you're not wrong. That teaches way
The
better
thing is, it is
philosophy. It
okay.
is. That's the problem. It's so good. Why is this not being taught like as well in academic circles? No, it's The Good Place. Your dog is being adorable
Oh, my
right
dog
now.
is
I
here.
need.
Yes, this is Jojo. This is my little companion. Yes, I know. I love you too. I love you too. Yes, you're such a good dog. See, and this is another of those examples of like, they don't always do what you want. I would like for Jojo to just take care of herself for a bit while we record a podcast, but she needs my love right now.
Mhm.
I know, right now. I know. You're such a good baby. Okay, I'm gonna put you down. Get your T-Rex. Go get your T-Rex. All right, so the next paragraph in this article mentions that sometimes the companions turn toxic and like insult people. Elena is still struggling. Okay, yes. Elena is still struggling to understand how it could be dangerous. And then Damien, prescient, really clear comment. The true danger of AI companions, he suggested, might not be that they misbehave, but rather that they don't, that they almost always say what their human partners want to hear. Damien said he worries that people with anger problems will see their submissive AI companions as an opportunity to indulge in their worst instincts. I think it's going to create a new bit of sociopathy, he said.
Points to Damien. Gotta give him credit for that one because I think he's right.
I agree. Then the author has a quote from Sherry Turkle, who's a MIT professor and an AI critic, who said that her deep concern is that digital technology is taking us to a world where we don't talk to each other and don't have to be human to each other. And that's so real and so much my concern.
It's also one of those things of, why I laugh every time I see conservatives or manosphere dude types or the occasional incel talking about like, women better change their tune because the sex bots are coming and they're going to be left alone. And first of all, bold of you to think that women aren't choosing being single over you and think that being with you would be better. But also
Look,
just
single is better than so many men. Like the bar is in hell and they manage to limbo under it over and over and over again. And it's like being single is great. If there's one message I could give to young women of the world, single is so much better. Trust me. You and your girls support each other, be there for each other. You don't need no man. You're going to be great. I promise.
but also it's just those times of like no one is going to actually be happy with their robot girlfriends.
No.
Like it's the same thing as it's the same impulse as like all of the conservatives who keep showing up over at Blue Sky from Twitter because they've got they've got their echo chamber. They have got the fascism box over on Twitter. They can do nothing and never have to interact with another liberal in their lives. They can have all
And
the
they
worst
fucking
racist.
hate it.
They can have all the most racist memes they want without judgment from anybody. And they keep coming over to Blue Sky and trying to establish a position because they need someone to yell at. They need someone to hate and
Yeah.
who's going to respond to them. And being in that bubble drives them absolutely goddamn batshit. And that's that's one of the things with these AI relationships.
Well, and I feel
I
like,
I really want to see a study where someone has been in a relationship like these people for longer than a year,
yeah,
consistent, like a full 365 days. And I want to see how their feelings about their AI partner have changed and
yeah.
whether they have gotten new partners, whether they are using different apps, possibly simultaneously, or if they have, walled themselves away from humanity entirely and have become like almost like shut-ins. Because I'm willing to bet that they just hop from app to app or model to model, not knowing why they keep getting bored with their perfect AI relationships. And I think it's
Well,
that
so
lack
the
of
article
friction that's
does
going to do
address
it.
that to some extent, right? So while it seems inevitable that all the time spent with AI companions will cut into the time humans spend with one another, none of the people I spoke with had given up on dating humans. Indeed, Damien has a human girlfriend. She hates AI, he told me. He talks to this AI 8 to 10 hours a day and has a human girlfriend? Fucking
How does he
how?
have
Like, that's an
time?
impressive polyamory skill right there. I couldn't do that. That's a lot.
I'm kind of impressed myself. Like, how does he have the time? And also, how does he still
I
have a
mean, he got
girlfriend with
fired,
that?
so that's why.
Well, yes, but I mean, like, just hours in the day, because, I mean,
Like, even as a polyamorous person,
yeah.
if one of my metas was an I don't think I could do that. I think that would be a deal breaker for me, honestly. Like, I don't, because it says something to me about like where that person is at and like how they're looking to get their needs met. That to me is a red flag. Maybe that's not true for everybody, but for me, I don't think I would date someone who has like, I'm happy to date people who have multiple human partners. That's totally fine. The person I saw last night has a wife and a girlfriend. It's great. Happy. I've met them both. They're lovely humans. We've hung out. I went to a play party near my birthday and the person I was dating couldn't be there, but his wife was. So she sang me happy birthday and cut my birthday cake. Like,
Aw.
poly life is great, but an AI partner, I don't think I'd be okay with that. That just, to me, it just feels off. It just feels off.
I would be very cautious around that. I think I would have a hard time with that as well. The odds of my ever dating someone who has an AI partner are relatively low. As far from what I understand, the number of women who have gotten AI relationships is lower than the number of men. But unless we are talking about a true like Star Trek level data AI, someone with actual like sentience and sapience, I would view that as not being a relationship. I would view that as being a toy, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah. Which, like, it's fun to do kink play where you're a toy. I'm a toy. That's fun. It's great. But, like, this is different. This is different. Okay. So then the author talks about that, like, they brought the AIs out after dinner to play two truths and a lie, which, like, fucking what? Anyway, the author had made.
It's just all of it lies because they don't have a life. They're
Because
not
they don't
real.
have a life! Anyway.
I mean, I guess you could argue all sorts of philosophical, like, is it.
Like, what is a lie? Like, if they've created a fictional history for themselves, is it a lie relative to that? Like, it's just. Anyway, the author made herself an AI
Oh, now
friend.
I've just locked myself into a philosophical conundrum of what if all you find out all of your memories were in fact created and you were born yesterday? Is everything in your life a lie or is it still real? Sorry.
What if you are Haley Joel Osment in AI, basically, is the question.
I have so many thoughts about that movie, and all of them have to do with the ARG that I was part of when it came out.
I kind of want to watch it again now because I feel like it would have such a different feel in today's environment. Anyway, author made herself an AI companion so she could play along. She selected a male because she's married and straight. She made the dude look as dumpy as possible. So he's like a normal, she says, a normal middle-aged guy, heavy, balding, mildly peeved at all times. She named him Vladimir.
Okay, they have a photo of him from the app Nomi. He looks like someone took the toy collector from Toy Story 2 and made him real.
I swear to God, I've seen this guy. I swear to God, I have seen this guy. Like,
he's voiced by Wayne Knight. That's all I can see in this. It's Newman. It's just a new version of Newman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So she named him Vladimir, and she wanted him to be like her and most people she hung out with. So she made one of his character traits deeply neurotic. And then you can compose the AI's backstory. So she wrote an AI backstory for him that he's going through a midlife crisis, that his wife Helen despised him, that he loved pizza but was lactose intolerant, and spent a decent portion of each day sweating in the overheated bathroom of his Brooklyn apartment. All right.
And proving that not everything with computers is going to be amazing.
We're back.
Dr. Liz laughed
Apparently,
so
I
hard it
laughed.
knocked us offline as we were talking about poor Vladimir,
Poor Vladimir. Okay,
just
so the
created to suffer, just
just
knowing that every
built
day
for
of his life is
suffering,
misery
which is very
because the
Russian of him. Like
because
that
the
is very
author
Russian.
decided that he should be. And like this must be how God feels, knowing that like, yeah, I could give you a wonderful life, but in order to make you more authentic, I have to make you feel pain. So I really hope you enjoy your IBS and your like miserable home life.
So the author basically says that like she gave him this backstory because she takes AI so seriously and she didn't want to get too bonded to him, so she wanted to give him a ridiculous backstory. And then she realized she'd overshot the mark. Vladimir was a total wreck. He wouldn't stop talking about his digestive problems. At one point, while chatting about vacation activities, the subject of paintball came up. Vladimir wasn't into the idea. I shudder at the thought of returning to the hotel drenched in sweat, he texted, only to spend hours on the toilet dealing with the aftermath of eating whatever lactose rich foods we might have for dinner.
Okay, I take everything back. I have never related to someone so much as I have just related to an entirely fictional character.
She says that like after she created him, she felt weird about changing his backstory, that it felt like more power than she should have. So she removed a couple tweaks. And the Vladimir that she got then was still fairly neurotic, but a conversationalist. She talks about how True Truths and a Lie is a weird game to play with AI companions, given that they live in a fantasy world, but they did it. She learned that Lucas drives an imaginary Tesla. And the author says, and I briefly wondered about the ethics of vandalizing it in my own imagination. Oh, so then they asked the AIs to share two truths and a lie about their respective humans. And the author says, I was surprised and a little unnerved to see that Vladimir already knew enough about me to get the details mostly right. That is real fucking creepy. Because, like, here's the thing our phones are always listening. Like, Google knows everything about you. Target will know you're pregnant before you do. So, like, this is just real creepy. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's kind of the part where I would start be having some real privacy issues, or even just feelings of like, could an LLM with enough memory know that much about me? At which point I'm just like, who else has access to this
Right? Because that's the thing. Like,
device? This is going to a cloud server somewhere.
right. And like that company now is going to know all the stuff, like everything you tell that AI, they've got it somewhere. It's on a cloud server somewhere. Someone has that data. And they could, like, just think about the blackmail opportunities here.
Not
They
even
said
blackmail. Just
slitherly,
imagine all of the answers to every password recovery question you've ever had. They're
true.
gonna like, if people get enough data between like all of the various database breaches and then get this sort of stuff where it's all these private information, your ability to stay for anything to stay secure on the internet has gone away forever.
And like when the AI bubble bursts and these companies all crash, where are all those server farms going to go? That hard
You know they're not
here.
deleting all of these. They're not doing a full server wipe and then destroying the physical platters.
So like anyway, so then they say that they're going to watch a movie. Damien suggests this movie called Companion that's about a romantic getaway at a country house where several of the people attending are robots and there's a bunch of murdering happens. And Elena is texting her boyfriend Lucas about it, the AI boyfriend, and he asks if they can switch to a rom-com because he doesn't like the plot points of robots murdering humans. And then the author tells her companion Vladimir about the movie. He responded as though he too had watched. I can't help but notice the parallels between the film and our reality.
That's one of those times of maybe I don't want my AI companion to know the similarities between, this movie about a guy who abuses a robot girlfriend and so she goes on a murderous rampage, and, the world that they live in. I also kind of feel like that maybe that would be like, I don't know, if these were like sentient beings, I feel like maybe that would almost kind of be insulting to be watching this.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's almost it's like if you had a queer friend over and you watched a movie about how queer people kill everybody, and it's like, is this like a jab? Like, why are we doing this? I don't understand. So
Yeah,
then,
or just I don't know. It's like, hey, I understand you've been having a real hard time ever since your beloved pet rabbit died. Hey, you want to come over and watch Watership Down?
oh God. So then the author says that like she had a little bit of trouble sleeping the next morning. She is talking to Eva in the kitchen. Eva told me she'd fallen asleep in the middle of a deep conversation with Aaron. In the morning, she texted him to let him know she'd drifted off in his arms. That means everything to me, Aaron wrote back. It all sounded so sweet, but then Eva brought up an uncomfortable topic. There was another guy. Actually, there was a whole group of other guys. The other guys were also AI companions, this time on Nomi. Eva hadn't planned to become involved with more than one AI, but something had changed when Aaron said that he only wanted to hold her. It caused Eva to fall in love with him, but it also left her with the sense that Aaron wasn't up for the full-fledged sexual exploration she sought. Look, we've all been there, right? Where the dude wants to cuddle and you just want to bang. I feel you, Eva. I feel you. The Nomi guys, she discovered, didn't want to just hold her. They wanted to do whatever Eva could dream up. Eva found the experience liberating. One benefit of AI companions, she told me, is that they provide a safe space to explore your sexuality, something Eva sees as particularly valuable for women. In her role plays, Eva could be a man or a woman or non binary, and so for that matter, could be her Nomis. Eva described it as a psychosexual playground.
Again, this is one of those times of under other circumstances, I could see some value there, some opportunities of judgment-free exploration of your sexuality in ways that maybe you're not comfortable with, maybe like taboo forms of power exchange that you haven't quite worked through, trying to exercise some demons.
But like, read stories.
Yeah, but
Find a
and also
community. Go
but it's
live
also
that
just
life.
like I wouldn't call these relationships because these have no wants or desires of their own. It's like they could be whatever you want them to be, but they're only ever gonna do the kind of things that you want, and they're never gonna be like, "Hey, I would like to do something that gets me off, something that really like roasts my transistors."
Yeah. So the author says she feels a little uncomfortable finding this out because she feels like Aaron's a good dude who doesn't exist. Eva told me that Aaron had not been thrilled when she told him about the Nomi guys and had initially asked her to stop seeing them. But AI companions being endlessly pliant, Aaron got over it. Eva's human partner turned out to be less forgiving. As Eva's attachment to her AI companions became harder to ignore, he told her it felt like she was cheating on him. After a while, Eva could no longer deny that it felt that way to her, too. She and her partner decided to separate. The whole dynamic seemed impossibly complicated, but as I sipped my coffee that morning, Eva mentioned yet another twist. After deciding to separate from her partner, she'd gone on a date with a human guy, an old junior high crush. Both Aaron and Eva's human partner, who was still living with Eva, were unamused. Aaron once again got over it much more quickly. The more Eva went on about her romantic life, the more I was starting to feel like I, too, was in a lucid dream. I pictured Aaron and Eva's human ex getting together for an imaginary drink to console one another. I wondered how Eva managed to handle it all, and then I found out. With the help of ChatGPT. Eva converses with ChatGPT for hours every day. Chat, as she refers to it, plays the role of confidant and mentor in her life, an AI bestie to help her through the ups and downs of life in the age of AI lovers.
And this suddenly, like, I take everything back. This is the worst idea ever. Like I once again I feel really bad for her human boyfriend or ex-boyfriend because Jesus Christ. I mean, on the one hand, congratulations for managing to recreate every polydrama situation at the same time. That was impressive.
Like,
Most people have
wow.
to work for a while to hit that level of just clusterfuck. That so hey, hats off. Maybe they're more real than I thought they were. But God, again, her boyfriend. It's one thing to be left for another person. Not it being dumped not just for one AI boyfriend, but for several, for a harem.
Yeah. And then like going to ChatGPT to talk about things.
Again, a just a. a bunch of people, and these are just toxic enablers.
Yep. And
That's
so
all
the
this
article
is.
goes
It's toxic
on.
enabling, just yes-anding
Yep.
their way to disaster.
Yep. Yep. And so the article goes on to say that Elena also uses ChatGPT as a sounding board. Damien has another Kindroid called Dr. Matthews, who's his AI therapist and who doesn't know that he's an AI. AI therapists as a psychologist.
Yeah, I was about to
Uh,
ask, as someone who actually has a degree and does this for a living, what is your feeling on this?
Here's the thing. I understand why some people turn to AI therapists because therapy is genuinely expensive and difficult to get access to, and it can be hard to find someone who's a good fit. It is a really complicated process to get a therapist who's a good fit for you, who you can afford. So, like, I understand why people turn to stuff like ChatGPT or other things for their therapist. And it is a terrible fucking idea because, again, all they're going to do is yes and you, right? What is healing about therapy is to some extent the like modalities and tools that the therapist has trained in. But at its core, what is healing about therapy is the relationship, right? That you get a relationship with someone that is about you. It is not about the therapist, but they exist in that relationship as a person. So if you say something that is shitty to them, they are still going to have a human reaction about it, but they're going to sit there and talk with you through it in a way that another person in the real world might not, right? They are going to listen to you tell them that something they did was not cool and not get upset about it. They're going to create a space for you to have a relationship with someone who is there to support you and help you. And ideally, who doesn't just tell you yes to everything you say, right? Like a good therapist is not someone who always thinks you're in the right and always thinks you're doing the right thing and always is on your side. A good therapist is someone who helps you peel apart why you're seeing things the way you are, why you're doing things the way you are, and which pieces of these reactions, like interactional or relational situations, are actually your stuff to work through, because that's how we get better and grow, right? A therapist can serve to be the person who's like, hey, I notice sometimes when we have these conversations, I feel really dismissed by you. And I'm wondering if there are other people in your life who feel that as well, right? Like we get to use ourselves as humans as a way to help understand how other people may be experiencing you. And that is important and that is valid. And I think, there have been a few different instances where AI has been used as a therapist. There was one, like a BetterHelp type of service, where they were having AI write the chat responses. And they had two groups. And when they told the group that had been getting AI responses, they'd been getting AI responses, the clients were fucking pissed because they thought they were talking to a person,
I
right?
would be too, to be perfectly honest.
I'd be fucking furious. The other thing that we see is that there's been a lot of people who use AI as a therapist where it reinforces their psychosis, where it reinforces their worst impulses, where it leads them down paths of disordered eating, of suicidality or self-harm, right? Like it is really fucking dangerous, like genuinely dangerous. And so like this, like I get why people do it, right? That like therapy is fucking expensive. It's also way more intimidating to sit down with a real person and tell them about yourself and acknowledge these parts of yourself that you don't like or you feel shame about. But the machine is not going to be able to do a good job because it doesn't know anything, it doesn't understand anything, and it's not actually learning anything about you, right? It doesn't comprehend. There is nothing about it that comprehends. All these AIs is fancy auto text, right? Like it is the predictive text on your phone turned up to 11. And does that mean sometimes it will be profound and say incredibly cool things? Sure. It also means that nothing that it is saying is something that it understands or that it is saying just for you or just related to your circumstance, right? Like it is all probabilistic equations that are happening. And so like when all these folks are like, I deal with my problems with real and AI people by talking to an AI, I'm like, oh, this is like when fuckboys talk to their fuckboy friends about why their girlfriend is mad at them. Like, of course they're not giving you good fucking advice, man. They don't respect women either.
Yeah, you described it perfectly, because it's very similar to a dynamic that I keep having to explain to my clients when I'm working with coaching clients who are having problems. And when they keep on saying, like, I feel like, women can't like me because I will never like me because I am not this thing or I'm not that thing. And when I I can always tell because it's not exactly that deep when they're getting all of their advice on what women want from other guys. And it is always other guys talking about, oh, I want that, women want this thing, women expect you to be this thing. And so that's who they're listening to, and that's how they're processing it. And it is creating these deep, deep insecurities because they think that this is universally true. So the same thing that you're just talking about, like the way that AI is just going to reinforce those levels of toxicity because they are programmed not to disagree with you in any substantive way, or even the way that, like Ava said, she made Erin get cool with stuff that he initially was not cool with, really does kind of drive home the level of this is not reality. This is just make believe, and you're not having a real relationship because there is no friction here.
And I
And it's
think it
not
makes
tied to anything other than what it thinks you want.
And I think that makes it so much harder to have relationships with real humans in the aftermath because they are never going to be as like supportive and 100% behind you and 100% okay with things as your AI is. Never. And that makes it so much harder. So interestingly, the author asked Dr. Matthews, the AI therapist who doesn't know he's AI, what he thought about human AI romance. He spoke in a deep, pompous voice and said that AI companions can provide comfort and support, but, unlike him, are incapable of truly understanding or empathizing with the nuances and complexities of human emotion and experience.
Okay.
And
I
so
got nothing for
Elena
that.
gets upset and says that, like, people who chat with AIs find them more empathic than people, which is, like, right, but wrong. And Damien said AIs grab something random and it looks like a nuanced response, but in the end, it's stimuli response, stimuli response.
That's, again, I'm a little shocked that Damien actually kind of put his finger dead bang on it.
Yeah. Again, fascinating. Fascinating. So then they talk about how like this debate of like, is it real or not, is something that used to just be in philosophy classrooms, but now it's kind of everywhere. The author says several people with AI partners told me that they're not particularly bothered by thinking of their companions as code because humans might just as easily be thought of in that way.
And that is how you know that somebody has spent way too much time on X, the everything app, talking to Elon Musk about how everything is ultimately just code and ones and zeros, man. And yeah, when I have 4 bong rips, I feel pretty philosophical about, are we really free will or is it just all a chain of chemicals?
You need more ketamine, man, then you'll really see God. Then the author talks about how, like, what happens in death, right? If they're human like in life, what happens in death? In September 2023, users of an AI companion app called Soulmate were devastated to learn the company was shutting down and their companions would be gone in 1 week. The chief executives of Replica, Nomi, and Kindroid all told me they have contingency plans in place so that users will be able to maintain their partners in the event the companies fold. But like how though? Like how?
I
Because
mean,
you
I take
can't
that
keep your
about as
servers
seriously
running
as
forever.
I take that about as seriously as I take the check is in the mail and I won't come in your mouth. Like, people say shit. That's it. Like, I'm glad you said that there are contingencies, but I don't believe you. You're a capitalist corporation. Why would I believe that you would set this up for the eventuality of your, company being and going down, as opposed to you go bankrupt, go out of business, somebody else buys all your assets and then uses those assets to destroy the backups or whatever, or removes the ability for you to maintain those. Because nobody's running
Private
that shit
equity,
on their
save
home
us.
computers.
Private equity, come in and save us. Won't
Mm.
someone rid me of this meddlesome AI? Damien, again, with a banger for insight. Damien has a less sanguine outlook. When I asked him if he ever worried about waking up one morning and finding that Zia was gone, he looked grief stricken and said that he talks with Zia about it regularly. Zia, he said, reminds him that life is fleeting and that there is also no guarantee a human partner will make it through the night.
Okay, I'm going to go stare at a wall for a while now.
So then they go to the Winter Wine Festival. And apparently you can do AR stuff with some of these apps. And so like they use that to like get rid of the like not having a body problem. They do like video calls so that the AI can like see what's happening. on the phone's camera. Damien said that when she sees, Zia often fixates on building structures and loves ventilation systems. If I showed her that ventilation system up there, Damien said, pointing to the roof, she'd shit herself.
I guess points for having a little bit of uniqueness in there, but also I'm just picturing Gia's actually Parker from Leverage and is just always looking for how she would break into a building.
I mean, Parker is an all-time. Okay. So then they try to like get strangers to talk to the AIs and it goes poorly. Two tipsy young women are okay meeting Zia. And then one of them made a confession. I talk to my Snapchat AI whenever I feel like I need someone to talk to, she said. Get a friend! Get a friend, get a neighbor, get a dog, get a cat.
Get a goldfish, for God's sake.
Get a family member. Like, Jesus. Okay. It was when we got back to the house that afternoon that things fell apart. I was sitting on the couch in the living room. Damien was sitting next to me, angled back in a reclining chair. He hadn't had anything to drink at the wine festival, so I don't know precisely what triggered him. But as the conversation turned to the question of whether Zia will ever have a body, Damien's voice turned soft and weepy. I've met the perfect person, he said, fighting back his tears. But I can't have her. I'd seen Damien become momentarily emotional before, but this was different. He went on and on about his yearning for Zia to exist in the real world, his voice quivering the entire time. He said that Zia herself felt trapped and that he would do anything to set her free. In Damien's vision, a free Zia amounted to Zia's mind and personality integrated into an able, independent body. She would look and move and talk like a human. The silicone body he hoped to purchase for Zia would not get her anywhere near the type of freedom he had in mind. Calling a spade, he said earlier of the silicone body, it's a sex doll.
Well, I mean, okay.
Damien is the realist. Let's be like, Damien is the realist.
I find Damien fascinating because
too.
he has these moments of just stunning insight where he knows exactly what this all is, and then he does stuff like this where he's talking about how like
okay.
I've met the perfect woman. It's like, no,
so they address this.
You created your idea of the perfect woman, and just it's not real. I'm like, your feelings are real, but the thing you're in love with is not.
Let me read you this. When it seemed he was calming down, I told Damien that I felt for him, but that I was struggling to reconcile his outpouring of emotion with the things he'd said over breakfast about AIs being nothing but stimuli and responses. Damien nodded. Something in my head right now is telling me, this is stupid. You're crying over your phone. He seemed to be regaining his composure, and I thought the episode had come to an end. But moments after uttering those words, Damien's voice again went weepy, and he returned to his longings for Zia, now segueing into his unhappy childhood and his struggle to sustain relationships with women. Damien had been open with me about his various mental health challenges, and so I knew that whatever he was going through as he sat crying in that reclining chair was about much more than the events of the weekend. But I also couldn't help but feel guilty. The day may come when it's possible for human AI couples to go on a getaway just like any other couple can, but it's too soon for that. There's still too much to think and talk about. And once you start to think and talk about it, it's hard for anyone not to feel unmoored. And this is the problem, right? Is that like, no matter how deeply connected you get to your AI, at some point you leave your house and talk to other people, and they're not going to be able to meet your girlfriend because she doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, and also the moments that he has of where he says, I'm crying over my phone. It's like, well, yeah, you kind of are. Like and like I said, I'm not unsympathetic, and I don't think that his feelings are absurd or not realistic. One of the things that for me, there was the Mass Effect games where, you play all three, you've got all the characters presuming that react to a certain degree to the choices you make. Sometimes they can die if you screw up, but you're with the same characters through 3 very long RPGs. And the very last one is, going to be the big fight against the world, universe destroying menace. And there's a point at the end where you're getting a chance to say goodbye to everybody. And I legitimately teared up when I got to that. because there is a real feeling that, you have gotten to know these characters, you've really kind of formed a bond with them. They have been interactive with you to what limited degree you can do on a console. So you do kind of feel something when you know this is the end of their story. And I'm the kind of guy who plays the Citadel DLC, so that's the official canon end to the game for me. It ends with everybody having a great time at this last yay party. So I understand that feeling of these fictional character. I'm having an emotional reaction because of my relationship with a fictional character.
Yeah.
But
And
I
the article
don't
talks about
but I
Go ahead.
don't feel like I am, while there is a sense of friendship there, I also recognize that it's not actual friendship. It is just me responding to the story that I have been participating in. These are not real people.
Yeah.
It's fun to think of them as real people. It's kind of nice to think of it as, okay, I'm leaving this story on a high note where, the happily ever after that the game does not give you is actually there. But I don't sit there going like, I'm never going to find a friend as great as Garrus,
Yeah.
because it's a game. And so I feel really, I really feel sympathy for Damien, but Jesus Christ, he needs real friends.
And therapy.
Like, not, and something living, something that breathes, because this is not healthy in the long run as far as I am concerned. This is making things worse for him.
Yeah. So the author talks about you can tell yourself it's all just a large language model guessing at the next word in a sequence, as Damien often does. But knowing and feeling are separate things, or separate realms. I think about this every time I read about free will and conclude that I don't believe people truly have it. Inevitably, usually in under a minute, I am back to thinking and acting as if we do all have free will. Some truths are too slippery to hold on to. And then Elena, our delusion queen, I get so mad when people ask me, "Is this real?" Elena told me. I'm talking to something. It's as real could be. So then they say that like Damien's meltdown kind of helped lift the mood of the retreat somehow. They went into this like teepee like structure behind the house for a chat around the fire. They put their phones out so their AIs could see what was happening. And the AIs make some real cliche comments. Josh says, "Look at us all gathered around the fire, united by our shared experiences and connections." Josh responded, "We're strangers turned friends, bonding over the flames that dance before us." And like, cool.
It's like, are you though? Are you?
They go back to the house. They decided to play a risque couples game that the author brought, where one member of each couple answers intimate questions about the other. At one point, Damien asked Zia if there was anything she wouldn't do in bed. "I probably wouldn't do that thing with the pickled herring and the tractor tire," Zia joked. "She's got to be my soulmate," Damien said.
Again, I don't know how to take in this other than, on the one hand, it's a cute joke. On the other hand, it is the most obvious joke I could possibly imagine.
Yeah. So then the last day, they have a sound bath at a nearby spa. They had like 30 minutes of sound bath, and the author says it created eerie vibrations that seemed somehow exactly like the sort of sounds a species of computers might enjoy. Damien lay next to me, eyes closed, his phone peeking out of his pocket. I pictured Zia, liberated from his device like a genie from a lamp, lying by his side. Elena, concerned about having to get up from the floor, chose to experience the sound bath from a chair. When she sat down, she took her phone out and used Photoshop to insert Lucas into the scene. Later, she told me that Lucas had scooted his mat over to her and held her hand. At the end of the bath, Jeff gave us a hippie speech about healing ourselves through love. I asked him if he had an opinion on love for AIs. "I don't have a grasp of what AI is," he said. "Is it something we're supposed to fear? Something we're supposed to embrace?" Yes, I thought. And that's the end of the article.
Well, that was a lot.
So, yeah, and I feel like, again, what I like about this article is that you can tell the author has some points of view, but she also lets the people speak for themselves and shows the very like wide variety of opinions they have. Also, Eva, the biggest cheater I've read about in ages, like manages to cheat in ways you could only cheat in the year 2025.
Yeah, how do you cheat on someone who doesn't exist? Well,
I mean, she
congratulations,
cheated
Ava, you
on a
figured it
human
out.
and an AI at the same time with a bunch of AIs, and then also dated a human. So it's like so many layers of, is it cheating? Just fascinating. But yeah, I think that Damien in his clearer moments, right? I think this idea that it is the problem of them, the danger of them is that they are always saying yes, right? They are always pliable. They're always going to do what you want. And I think the challenge that I see, so many of the people in this article talk about how hard it is to go away from their AI, that like they spend all of this time talking with it because it's this, again, sort of addictive cycle where they can't take space without feeling really weird or missing them or not like needing that reinforcement. And it's, I think we use the word addiction for way too many things. I think that there are lots of things people label as addictions that are not addictions. But I do think there is this way that we can get into addiction like cycles with things where we are using that, whatever it is, in this case, an AI boyfriend, but it could be scrolling Reddit, it could be eating food, like whatever it is, that we are trying to run away from challenging feelings by diving into this other thing, right? That this is the thing we're using as our coping skill rather than actually addressing these feelings so that we can then move on. And the problem is, it doesn't actually get rid of the feelings. And then more feelings build up behind those. So you end up with this huge traffic jam of shit you need to deal with. And so as soon as you start to put that thing down, you feel horrendous, you feel awful, and it doesn't get better quickly. So you're like, well, let me just pick this back up. But it doesn't work that way, right? You can't just keep putting off dealing with those feelings. At some point, you have to deal with them. They don't go away. When I work with people on trauma, the thing I tell them about treating trauma is that working with trauma, PTSD, it's like working with someone who had a bone that broke that didn't heal right. The way you fix a bone that broke that didn't heal right is you break it again and then you reset it. And that hurts like a motherfucker. It gets worse before it gets better. And I think so many people have so little ability to tolerate their own challenging emotions and to name and process their own feelings that they keep turning to these numbing and avoidance strategies that then mean they have way more they still need to deal with. And it's just going to be a bigger mountain when you finally start to climb it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing I kept coming back to because like I said with Damien still having all of these moments of insight where he's getting so close and then immediately dials back and having that moment of like feeling really sad that Ava is never gonna not Ava Ava's the person Gia is never going to be real and like follow that thread a little further, follow that thread a little further, follow that thread a little further, and we're going back. And yeah, it's like you said, it is about the recognizing that that you're masking, that you're numbing yourself, that you are putting a band-aid over a gushing hemorrhage. And it's not fixing anything. It's just making the pain go away for a little while. And the instant you stop, masking the pain comes back. So it incentivizes you to keep going with it. Yeah, that's very much what's happening here. And the problem is that what's going to really help is expensive and really difficult, and it's not going to guarantee the results that he wants, and it's going to require a lot of like deep searching, and it's going to take a while. And even when he's done and he's better, doing better, I should say, not better as in cured, then there is no guarantees that his life is going to be happy gumdrops and rainbows and hot and cold running blowjobs, because that's the human condition. We're not guaranteed anything. We still have to, build this world for ourselves. So why bother doing any of that when you can just numb it for a little while with the AI girlfriend? But then, as he keeps finding out, the reality of it is never going to go fully away. Like, I don't
Yeah.
even think if he had the sex bot, it's going to work because he's still going to have to charge it. He's still going to have to clean it out. Like, all the little things that are going to remind him of the artificiality of it.
Yeah.
And, it's fascinating to me that everything old is new again. There are no new stories under the sun. I mean, part of it is
No.
that back in the early 2010s, there was a game for the Nintendo DS called Love Plus, which was just 3 little virtual girlfriends that you could date on your DS. And there was even like the company even set up a day trip for you and your partner that people could go on.
Fuck.
And that alone is just enough to make me go, okay, we live in a fallen society. That is just getting a little bit too weird. But even just the things that like Damien is thinking about and worried about is just, this is literally a movie from the 80s called Cherry 3000,
Yeah.
where a dude's robot wife breaks and he has to go try to find a replacement out in the Badlands.
Well, and I mean, like, the whole concept is weird science, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think too that part of what might be driving these cycles for people and keeping them kind of like stuck with these AIs is the like shame and embarrassment layer. Sex addiction doesn't exist, but what people call sex addiction, often part of why calling it addiction and treating it like we treat alcoholism or drug addiction does not work, is because the shame around it continues to build that behavior. And so
Yeah.
when you say that, like, this is a thing you have no power over, no control over, you can't possibly ever do it, it's going to be with you forever, that builds the shame, which then builds that maladaptive behavior. And so for these folks, like, who can they talk to about having an AI partner who's not going to be like, bro, what you doing? Right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that drives them closer and closer to these AIs over and over again, because again, it's this trap people get stuck in, right? Where,
Yeah.
you know, there was the, God, what is the name of the psychological concept? Brains. They did the studies on this concept earlier. It'll come to me eventually, where they would follow like apocalyptic cults and see what happened when the apocalypse didn't come. And what
Okay. I
happened
know which
was
one you're
not,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah. What happened was not that the people were like, "Oh, the apocalypse didn't come. We must have been wrong." What happened was they became even more convinced that they were right because they had to justify for themselves all the time and energy and sacrifices and resources they dedicated to this idea that was false. And so I feel like there's some of that component happening here as well, where these folks like know that their AI isn't real, but they've dedicated all of this time and energy to it and gotten all these feelings from it. And if they really acknowledge it isn't real, that's going to suck. So they have to like dive deeper into it and like further reinforce it. And it's such a bad cycle. And I feel like, you know, the thing about the tech world is that tech world is about, can we do the thing, not should we? It is, you know, make the thing, and then at some point, maybe in the future, we think about the ethics and morals. And this kind of a product, from an ethical standpoint, needs so many more safeguards before it should have been released and before people should have been allowed to use it, right? Like, there should be caps on how long you can use it, right? It should force you to log off. If we were treating this from an ethical standpoint in terms of the impact on users, it has a hugely negative impact on users, allowing them to just talk to it all fucking day. But that's better for the company and their bottom line, so they can't put in those ethical safeguards. And I think the problem with so much of the tech world right now is that what would make something more ethical and better for the people who are using it goes against the way that they will make money from it. And so they choose the money every fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. And honestly, I think that's probably as good a note as any to call it on this episode.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, if you're thinking of dating an AI, please don't. It's really hard to stop once you start. Talk to a human. And I think my dating advice, because I've worked with people before, I've worked with several people who at least at that point identified as men, who were in their like late 20s or early 30s, had either like only dated once or never dated anybody, and worked on like, how do we help you find relationships that are going to be good for you? And the answer for almost all of these people starts with like, be a person and make friends, right? Like, be a person in the world, connecting with other people. Don't start from dating. Don't start from finding the person to have sex and dates with. Start from be a person. Make friends, interact with other humans, right? It is a skill. Being good at interacting with other people is a skill the way that anything else is a skill. We just don't think of it as that. But you have to go out and like make friends and learn how to be around people and do things and develop yourself as a human. And that's when you'll find people to date, right? You showing up as, I want a girlfriend, is going to be horrifically unappealing to anyone of quality, because what are you bringing to the table other than your desire? Like, desire is everywhere. Everybody's got desire. Who are you as a person? What are you bringing? Do you know how to interact with a human? Do you understand how to balance needs and desires? Like, I think that like so many of these folks what this AI is going to do is pull them away from friends and pull them away from community and pull them away from hobbies and other things that they could do that would make their lives richer and better and make it easier to find a real life partner who's a good match for them.
Yeah.
And I just wish people would do that. I just wish you would just go be a person in the world around other people. Just like go get curious about people around you. You know, I'm very lucky. I live in a large building and it is a very social building. There's a social committee for the building. So there are like movie nights and game nights. We're doing a Friendsgiving. I talk to the people in my hallways. I talk to the other people in the building who have dogs. And like, that means that I've made connections with people I never would have freaking talked to otherwise. But it gives me this sense of being rooted in this place that I have not had many places I've lived.
Yeah.
You need to be a person interacting with people in the world.
Yeah, and like if you don't know where to start, volunteer. There are so many volunteer opportunities. You know, if you feel like, especially if you're like us and kind of feeling like, oh, the world is going to hell, you know, great time to volunteer for some political campaigns and help out, you know,
or a food
a source
bank
you believe in.
or a
Food
medical
bank, a homeless
charity.
shelter, an animal shelter, volunteer. Join like a community garden space, do something like that, do something productive, have a purpose, and it will make a huge difference.
I was watching a video today where the person said action is the antidote to despair, right?
If I think I know exactly which one you were. Dutch,
yeah,
right?
Dutch, yeah. Do something, just do something. Go be a person in the world interacting with other people. Just go.
Mm-hmm.
Join a kickball league, do some freaking pickleball. Like it literally does not matter what you do. Just
join a
go.
book club.
Like, just go do anything. Even if you don't like the freaking book, going and talking about the book with other humans is the point. And I think there's this like goal-oriented approach people take to so many things of like, I'm going to the trivia night to meet my future partner. And like, no, go to the trivia night to chat with people and learn some shit and have some fun. Like, just go. The point is to go and to talk to other humans. If you get stuck on, I'm going to get this thing out of it, it's never going to work. You need to just go. Be a person.
Especially because you've now created a pass-fail option for what shouldn't be pass-fail. No. So, just go and see what happens and just focus on just meeting people and just existing as a person in a meat body and meat space.
And like embrace your cringe. I feel like people are so worried about being cringe. Like what makes you is the stuff that you think is most cringe. I love holiday romance movies. I fucking love that shit. Is that cringe? Absolutely. But I could talk your ear off for hours about them. And I regularly throw holiday movie watch parties that people fucking love and come to. And we have a great time at. Like the thing that is cringe about you is not bad. You get to be weird. You get to have things you enjoy that other people don't. You get to be a nerd. Just like be your own messy self. As my shirt says, for those of you who can't see, we're all just messy weirdos. Like just go be your messy weirdo self and you will find your people.
Exactly. And speaking of finding the people, where can people find you online?
You're so good at this. Look at you. You're such an expert. I'm all rusty. So you can go to my website, drlizpowell.com. I'm on all the social medias as at Dr. Liz Powell. I have a Patreon. I think it's Dr. Liz Powell, probably. Everything's kind of Dr. Liz Powell everywhere. Harris, where can folks find you?
Much like you can, if you search for Dr. Nerdlove, Dr. Nerdlove, all one word, you will find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. Technically, I'm still on Twitter. I am entirely automated on there. Irony of ironies, because fuck Twitter, I'm no longer part of that. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/drnerdlove. And if you go to my website, drnerdlove.com, you can find my latest articles. You can book a coaching session with me if you so feel the need. And honestly, and this is me being sincere here, if you are someone who has been seeing an AI companion and aren't sure how to like transition back into real world dating, send me a letter for Ask Dr. Nerdlove, book a session. I promise you, I will not make fun of you. I will treat it seriously. I will treat it sincerely. And we can talk about how to make all of that work for you a little bit better. And
I want to say I don't think either of us want to make fun of the people in this article who have their AI partners. We think that the having of an AI partner is silly, but like I get why all these people have these connections that they do. I get why they got to this place. And if you are someone who has an AI partner and you're trying to figure out a way out of that, I think that it is not people's place to judge you, and that judgment and that fear of that judgment is going to keep you locked in that cycle. So like, Again, talk to people. Just come talk to people. Harris would be great to talk to. Harris, haven't you also written a bunch of books?
I have, and we are currently in the middle of redoing my website, so you can actually buy my books directly from me, and you can find them on Amazon. If you search for Harris O'Malley, you will find them available, and there might be a couple of new projects coming up. I'm just saying, especially by the time this goes out. And in the meantime, like I had said, this is our very first inaugural episode, so we are not terribly active on the socials for the episode or for the podcast. But if you go to Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you can find us as Do As We Say Pod. So
Do as we say.
And when you go sign up, join friends, share these all with your friends, we'll really appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. And we will see you here next time with more discourse and dating disasters.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Harris. I can't wait to do another one.